So the design of the Kumbh Mela traveling exhibit is centered on cross-referencing interdisciplinary research collected over the course of 3 years by a variety of different faculty and student groups across different schools at Harvard. That includes the Harvard Divinity School, Harvard Business School, the Harvard Graduate School of Design. And all of these schools sort of approach this event focused on a very different facet of what makes the Kumbh, so attractive and actually enables it to occur. And the design of the show cross-references all of that information and sorts it and collects the perspectives of these different schools into topic arms, sort of spatial arms that organize all of that information. One of those topics is grid, another is governance, a third is technology, and a fourth is ephemerality. And all four of the spatial arms of the exhibit are organized by a connective node that highlights water as an organizing principle that orders all of these different topics and sort of readings of the event of the Kumbh, but also is the connective tissue for it. It's the reason everybody attends this event. It's the ritual of bathing and sort of washing away one's sins is really the motivation. So we've got a quiet space in the center that focuses on water and the more personal side of bathing at this event that is related to the kind of mega organizational systems that are understood through each of the topic arms. The exhibit's actually comprised of a total of 27 stretched fabric panels, so scrim screen panels, and the fabric is stretched over very minimal aluminum frame, and they're sort of glowing. They pass in front of windows, they pass in front of doorways, and are backlit, and we also wanted to incorporate on every panel, it's printed with imagery collected on site by all of these diverse schools, imagery of the event and imagery of even the process of sort of data collection is part of what we're featuring as the content of the show itself. We're also incorporating the opportunity to use video that was collected. So we have 2 videos with sound. One video that describes bathing, so the sound of water and washing water is what characterizes the environment of the kind of connective node of water, the organizing element of the show. But it's a much more quiet space in terms of its content. And then each of the topic arms has a range of scales of imagery of the event presented on printed panels. There's an additional video that describes the process of bringing all these schools together and being on site to collect research, and that's almost a full, feature-length short video that describes more the sort of data collection and meta thinking about how the research was going to be collected that we're including. Each one of the topic arms also oscillates the content between the micro scale and the macro scale, which is of central import to the way the sort of systematicity, the organization of the Kumbh through a very logic and systemized process of building. The oscillation between the small scale actually aggregating to create the large macro scale is how the Kumbh event actually plays out in terms of how technology is laid out, meta structures, even down to the scale of occupiable space. And so that's something we wanted to feature in the type of content that we exhibit in each one of the topic arms. The dynamic quality of the show and its sort of itinerary following its opening here at Harvard was one of the most exciting aspects of it for me as a designer. It was challenging, and just as the sort of ephemeral landscapes or pop-up settlements like the Kumbh Mela challenge the notion of city as a fixed or permanent entity, the show itself had to be designed with infinite variability, essentially. So you can reconfigure all of the panels put them in different orders. The show itself can expand to include all 27 panels or contract, and we would get rid of some of the content of the panels to enable it to be reconfigurable to manage a wide range of different gallery spaces internationally where it will be displayed. And we only know details of probably about 6 of maybe the half of the total number of locations for the show. So we really had to, build in this kind of infinite variety. And in order to do that, all of the panel sizes are largely regularized, and all of the content is organized in the same location, even though the content changes per panel, which enables it to be reconfigurable in any number of different layouts to suit the space within which it will be displayed. For Loeb House here at Harvard, it's really invading a much more domestic scale space that has quite a few spatial constraints. So it was interesting to start the process of a adaptable and reconfigurable dynamic exhibit in a space that was much more constrained than we anticipate some of the other spaces of display might be. Great. Another key characteristic of the Kumbh exhibit is that it's designed relative to efficient shipping costs because it will be flat packed into shipping containers. And we designed the show to have a certain dimensionality that made that a very efficient cost and time premise. Everything is also sort of easily deployable with just 1 or 2 people, which emulates the process of building the enormous pop-up megacity that enables the Kumbh event. So 1 or 2 people can deploy all of the fabric frames and screens that comprise the show. Also, the materials are important because it keeps the show very light, which cuts down on shipping costs, but it also makes it, I think, in terms of its material choices, emulate the materials that would be used for the city that surrounds the Kumbh for this temporary time period. So we use fabric, we use lightweight metal, we use Velcro to secure things, so it's very manual, which also, again, was drawing from the process of designing settlements that are temporary and can be manipulated and put up with only a couple people. I think it's really that the dynamism of, what I really hope people take away from it and what we tried to feature in terms of content in the show is to avoid fetishizing the kind of exotic or the fantastic qualities of the Kumbh Mela event. So both the design and the details of the design, as much as the content selections that were made and included in the show, were really meant to highlight the systematicity and logic that rules every facet of this enormous population that comes for this event. So everything from sanitation and having an eye to catchment areas to the scale of occupation and inhabitation, be it group settings or individual settings, down to roadways, larger scale infrastructure. Every single thing at the Kumbh was about getting the micro to have a certain resonance with the macro so that a couple people could sort of, again, aggregate and create this massive community. And the same detail idea, the same small to large oscillation in terms of scale was what ruled the design as well. So what I hope people take away from a visit to the Kumbh exhibit is the sort of logic or sort of the detailing and planning that went into both the design of the show as an illustration of the event at large. So